All right, good morning, guys. I just finished a workout and I'm ready to record this episode of the Happy Doc. I hope you are doing well. So, I've been listening to this book called Already Free by Bruce Tift Ma, and it is a fantastic listen. I mean, I'm not reading, I'm listening to it through Audible right now, and I'm just having so much fun kind of tossing around a lot of the ideas that is spoken about in the book. So Bruce is a therapist, but he also practiced Buddhism as well. So he has an interesting take on that combination of Eastern and Western philosophies. So one of the topics he discusses, and I'm going to kind of dive into it on this episode, is 3 levels of awareness or consciousness that you might see people have or that you might notice in yourself. And actually noticing it in yourself is probably the most important. It is the most important. So I'm going to go through these 3 levels, and I want you to consider, how these levels of consciousness may provide you more value or more ability to operate in a more fulfilled and conscious manner, as opposed to the ability to give away some of that power and give away some of that control that we naturally have. So you'll see what I mean in a minute. So let's go into these 3 levels. So level 1 of consciousness is noticing that when someone has something difficult, challenging, or when issues arise in their life, consciousness level 1, people tend to blame or believe that the conflict that is coming up is coming through or happening because of someone else, some other situation. There's a clear cause and effect that is outside of themselves that caused the problem, the issue, the challenge to happen. When anything is hard or difficult, there's always something to blame. It's the government, it's the job, it's of the friend, it's my life circumstances, it's my upbringing. And of course, all feelings and all reasoning is valid, but the locus of control, the ability to control what is going on, is always on someone else. It's always on something else. And that's okay, perfectly fine. And there's also legitimate reasoning for why that can be true, but it's always somewhere else. And you'll notice this in people, you'll notice this in yourself as well, where the language is always on other things. Okay, so that's consciousness level 1. It's again, these levels are not like good or bad. It's just levels of thinking. And through those levels of thinking, we have a different level of experience that we might be able to have. And again, I'll kind of go through that as well. So level number 2. Level number 2 is a realization that in these conflicts, friendships, relationships, and in life, blaming other people, blaming other individuals is not very useful. And it is a realization that the only thing we can really change is ourselves. We can work on ourselves. We can change our mindset. We can think about the ways that we operate. We can learn through every experience. We can learn through every trial and tribulation. And through that process, we can optimize ourselves, and we can take back control of ourselves to either limit or essentially completely remove the issues, the stressors, and change the variables inside of ourselves in order to essentially live a more elevated lifestyle, a lifestyle or a thought process that's going to make you more happy and all of those things. And again, it's because you are creating the control inside of you and you're optimizing yourself. So that makes sense, right? So for example, if you look at your bank account and you see that it's in negative whatever, instead of blaming, your job, blaming your life circumstances, all that stuff, you say, you know what? I haven't been really paying attention to my finances. I haven't been taking responsibility. Maybe I should have worked a little harder. Maybe I should do this. Maybe I should consider how I can change this now. It's very much so present-centered and working on yourself in the now to figure out how you're going to fix that issue. So maybe you've gone through level 1 and level 2. Now, level 3 is a much more subtle form of awareness and consciousness. So if level 1 was putting the locus of control outside of you, right? You're saying that other people are the problem. Level 2 is saying that you must change, you must work on yourself. And level 3 is this, again, very subtle. And for many people, they might not have completely experienced this. But level 3 is when you pull yourself back from all of this stuff and all the stressors and all of life and all of the challenges and everything. What is the thing? Who is the thing? Or what is the thing that is observing all of this stuff? Like, what is the nature of our own consciousness? What is it to just be in the experience of things? What is it to just be and be in the presence of life? And so whether you're blaming other people, whether you're working on yourself, whether you're in the process of life, what is it like to just be and enjoy the process of the discomfort, enjoy the process of happiness, enjoy the process of whatever it is that we're doing? It's very subtle. It's enjoying the beingness of life. And I'm going to try to explain it in the best way that I can, and how, it's explained also in the book. It's this idea that in life, everything that we have, everything that we experience is through our senses, the 5 senses, and whatever it is to be in our physical bodies. I mean, whatever your belief system is around your spirit and your consciousness, it is tethered to a physical body. And in that experience, whenever you have conflict, whenever you're happy, whenever you're anything, you experience sensations first, through your eyes, through your nose, whatever. That gets translated into the brain, and then that outputs a certain feeling that you have that's translated as an emotion or a feeling of anxiety, a feeling of, agitation, a feeling of abandonment, a feeling of anger, whatever that feeling is. And then our brain starts to interpret that, and it starts to create thoughts, right? Or, is this a chicken or egg? Does a thought come first? Does emotion come first? What have you? But all of those thoughts and all of those emotions end up getting translated into this ongoing dialogue that we have in our brains about our experience. And when we have that dialogue, that's okay, but we're really stuck in our minds. What would life be like if we were just okay and saying yes to the experience as it was, that we didn't have to interpret things so hard, that we didn't have to label things as good or bad or what I need to learn or what I don't need to learn, and we can just drop into the experience of now, that we can just fully be present in the emotions, in the feelings, in the physical sensations, and what have you. And what is talked about in the book is that this level of experience, a lot of times people try to take control of their lives by either blaming other people or blaming themselves, trying to work on other people, trying to work on themselves. Because in the end of the day, life is full of discomfort, and we all have a hard time dealing with discomfort. It's that internal feeling of unease. It's that anxiety, that frustration, that anger. We're always trying to solve it. But the third level of consciousness isn't trying to solve anything. You're not trying to solve anything. There's nothing to solve. That's how life is. As human bodies, we're going to have anxiety. We're going to be happy sometimes. We're going to be frustrated sometimes. You don't have to try so hard to solve it. Just be in your anxiety, just be in your stress, just be in your frustration, just be in your happiness. Dive deeper and relax and smile and say yes to the experience. I don't mean that all experiences are good and you want to say yes to everything, but I mean have this accepting feeling inside of you to accept the moment as it is. And as I'm talking about all this stuff, I know it's really hard to explain. It's hard to explain a conscious level, a level of consciousness of just being in the moment. Everything is happening in the now. Everything is present. How do you explain that? So it is a sense of trying to just be with wherever you are at and saying yes to the moment instead of trying to change everything. Consciousness levels 1 and 2 are constantly trying to change the conditions and the variables in order to make us feel better. Consciousness level 3 respects the fact that life is life, and we're not always going to be able to change these variables. And in fact, when we relax and we say everything's okay, you smile to the moment, you say yes to the moment, you engage with the present moment, you engage with the immediate moment that is now. It's a paradox, but as you kind of get into that presentness and that presence, you're actually able to engage even better and take more control when you realize you have very little control. And it's a very interesting paradox, but that's that level 3. And if that seems like a very weird concept, it's because it cannot be explained very well in words. What really needs to happen is it's a practice of just being present within yourself. It's a practice of just being in the moment, noticing things as they are, not looking towards the future and not looking towards the past, but being in the present, taking control of what you have now. And this is kind of the concept that a lot of that book, Already Free, kind of talks about. You're already free. You don't have to change anything. You don't have to you don't have to change all these variables. You don't have to change anything here and there. You can just be in the present moment and then understand using that present moment consciousness and awareness. You can use the present moment to then grab what it is that you want for you, grab whatever it is that is necessary for your being. Again, so hard to explain, and it is a practice that ultimately, I would say, expands your ability to just be more connected. There's a feeling of connectedness. There's a feeling of wholeness. There's a feeling of fullness. And as I'm saying all of this stuff, I am not saying I'm a master of this type of thing. I'm saying that I'm a practitioner of trying to be more present. And there is a greater amount of depth and calm and peace if you can contemplate what that experience might be like and be in that experience. Again, kind of confusing. I just felt very inspired to talk about that because if you're not aware that there might be a different level of experience, then you might not try to have that experience. So I want to let you guys be aware of that, of those different levels of consciousness and different levels of thinking. And hopefully that inspires you to practice the clear and honest benefit of being very mindful, being in the present moment, really taking the sounds, the sights, the smells, the physical sensations of your life in and enjoying it. Because that's how we experience life, and we gain, I think, a richer experience through just noticing things as they are. So hopefully that was helpful. Hopefully you got something out of that, and I will see you on the next episode of The Happy Doc. Have a great one, guys.